Hello, I'm going to show you how to do diatonic triads, how to create diatonic triads in seventh chords in the various inversions with Roman numerals. And if you're still struggling with this in class, then you can watch this, and I'm going to show you the two ways to do it. The first way requires memorization, and here's what you memorize. If I can get this to erase. Clear drawings, clear all. Okay, here we go. So, if you have major triad, you can memorize these. You know that if it's a 1 chord, it's major. If it's a 2 chord, it's minor. If it's a 3 chord, it's minor. 4 is major. 5 is major. 6 is minor. 7 is diminished, if it's a triad. If it's a minor triad, it would be, if it's a 1 chord, it's minor. If it's a 2 chord, it's diminished. 3 chord is major. 4 chord is minor. 5 chord is special, and it's major. 6 chord is also major, not special. Sorry, 5 chord or 6 chord, I mean. And then the 7 triad is diminished. It's also special. So this one is special, and so is the 7. If you're dealing with 7th chords, the 1 chord is a major 7th. The 2 chord is minor. Excuse me. The 3 chord is also minor. 4 chord is, ooh, that's ugly. That's supposed to be a 7. Sorry. The 4 chord is major. The 5 chord is dominant. The 6 chord, oops, is minor. And the 7 chord is half diminished. If you're dealing with minor, that's supposed to be a little m. Oh, I can't write. Sorry, that's supposed to say minor. If you're dealing with minor, the 1 chord is a minor 7th. The 2 chord is half diminished. The 3 chord is a major 7th. Not very popular. The 4 chord, oh man, I messed up back there. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go back. The 4 chord is a minor 7th. No, I didn't. I lied. The 5 chord is dominant, and it's very special. The 6 chord is major. Oh man, I put 4. Oh, I'm not doing well today. I know I could back up, but I'm too lazy. 6 chord, that's supposed to say 6. It's a major 7th. And the 7 chord is special, and it's barely going to fit here. It's a fully diminished 7th chord. So this 7 chord is special. The 5 chord is special, and I already said this one and this one were special. So when you're dealing with minors, regardless if it's triad or 7th, the 5 and the 7 chord are very special. Okay, look at the similarities. From major to minor, I think they're all opposites. This one's opposite, this one's opposite, well, sort of, no, they're not all opposites. The only one that's the same, though, in majors and versus minors and triads are the 5 chord and the 7 chord. They're identical. And then in minors, the only one that's the same is the 5 chord. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples if you have this memorized. Okay, so this is the easiest way if you have it memorized. That's the easiest way to go about this. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Here is a couple of examples. I said here is a couple of examples. I don't teach English. Here am a couple of examples. So, in this example, we're in the key of G minor. So all you have to do is make sure that you're in snowman position, which this one is stacked nicely by thirds, so it's in snowman position. Something that looks like this. I'm ignoring the flats and the sharps. What am I doing here? Like, that's not in snowman position because whatever, this part isn't in thirds with that note, right? The C and the B. Okay, so ignore that. So we're looking at this example. It's in snowman position. I'm trying to figure out which scale degree, basically, The root is based on the key of G minor. I'm going to switch my color to red so you can see where I'm writing. So the root of the snowman, that is what we're going to use for the Roman numeral. So in this case, we're looking at C. I don't even care if I have it memorized what accidentals I'm using, because I know that they've put it, this is diatonic, so we're using notes within the scale. Okay, so in the key of G, I'm going to write G, A, B, C. I'm trying to get to C. So G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4. Because I have it memorized, I know that I'm dealing with the 7th chord, and I know I'm looking at the 4 chord. C is the 4th scale degree of G. So it is going to be a minor 7th chord. And that's how I would notate it. It's the 4th scale degree of G, G, A, B, C. That's the 4th scale degree of G in the key of G. And I would use the Roman numeral 4. Because I have it memorized, I know that it's a lowercase Roman numeral 4. And the inversion symbol is 7. Yes, 7 is an inversion symbol. You have to have the 7 or it's a triad. Let's check our work real quick. If I use C, E, G, B, if you use my method, if you don't know my method, then look back at those other things I've made on YouTube's. So C, E, G, B, that's major. To make it dominant, I lower the 7th. To make it minor, I again lower the 3rd. And now they match. This matches this, what I've been given. So yes, indeed, it's a minor 7th chord. And I can go ahead and use the 4 in lowercase version of 7. Let's do another one. Okay, so this one looks exactly the same, except we're in a different key. Using the same method, my memorization method. A flat, I'm going up to C. I'm trying to make it to this note right here. So my key is A flat major because it's big. I'm going to the letter C. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3. It's a 3 chord. I memorized my chart. I'm looking at major 7th chords, and I know that the 3rd scale degree is always a minor 7th chord. So I'm going to use 3, lowercase, 7. I have to include the inversion symbol. 7 is an inversion symbol. It's just a root position 7th chord. So one more time. I'm going to the root of the snowman. All right, so now let's look at one that's not in snowman position. Again, pardon my poor handwriting skills on this iPad thing and just in life. Okay, this one is not in snowman position. We have the notes G, B, D, and E. So I have to figure out snowman position. So it needs to be by thirds. You can use whatever method you want to do that. I use, that's silly sayings. Like in this case, every good boy deserves. So I'm going to put that in snowman position. I'm going to write it over here. Every good boy deserves. That's snowman position. Now I can figure out which chord this is based off the scale degree. So I'm in the key of G major, and I'm trying to get to the root. The root is E. The root is not G. The bass is G. Here's the bass. That note is G, but the root is not the bass always. It's the bottom of the snowman. You have to remember that the root is the bottom of the snowman. Okay, so G is the key we're in. G, A, B. I don't care about accidentals. C, even though there's none. D, until you get to F. E. G, A, B, C, D, E. Okay? G is 1. A is 2. B is 3. C is 4. D is 5. And E is 6. Okay, I memorized my chart. In the key of G, dealing with 7th chords, a 6 chord is always minor. I mean, a minor 7th chord. Alright, now, is my inversion symbol 7? It is a 7th chord, but my inversion symbol isn't 7. So, after I figure out that it's a 6 chord, or a 6, yeah, Roman numeral 6, lowercase, and it's a 7th chord, now now I can look at the inversion symbol. So now I'm going to go back to this bass note of G. G is the third of the chord. Okay, I know this is a little tricky, but not too much. 1, 3, 5, 7. So G is the third of the chord. When the third is in the bass, let me get my pen fixed here. The third's in the bass, you know that you're in the first inversion of the seventh chord, so you have to put 6, 5. And again, you just have to memorize that. I'm not going to go into that on this little practice thing. So this is the chord 6, and it's a seventh chord in first inversion. So I write lowercase vi with the inversion of 6, 5. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, here's another one. This one is major. It's not in snowman position because they aren't stacked by thirds, so we have to figure that out. Again, you can tell that these two are already stacked as thirds and these two are already stacked as thirds, so generally just put those on the bottom, but it may not be as pretty as this. So, in this case, that's an F right here on this line, so it's going to be F-A-C-E, it spells face. So I'm going to write those over here, F sharp, A, C sharp, E. There we go. That's snowman position. So what's the root? The root is F sharp. That's really important, right? Because we're going to say our key is D. We're trying to figure out which scale degree F is. D, E, F. D, E, F. That is an E. This is 1, 2, 3. So I know that my chord is a 3 chord. I have to use my memorization on my chart. My chart says when I'm dealing with majors, the 3 chord, if it's a 7th chord, is going to be a minor 7th chord. So I'm going to write 3, and it's little 3. So 3 little i's with a 7. Okay? Now, this Roman numeral with 3 with a 7 by it, that means we're in root position. We're not in root position. We have to figure out which note is in the bass. The lowest note is the bass. Even if you're in treble clef, it's still considered, the lowest note is called the bass. Okay? So, C sharp, I see it over here. It's the 5th of the chord. This is the 3rd of the chord. This is the root of the chord. Here's the 7th of the chord. Doesn't matter. There it is. Doesn't matter where any of those notes are, as long as the lowest note is what we're looking at for the inversion symbol. Okay? In this case, the 5th is in the bass. When the 5th is in the bass, let me get my eraser out. My inversion symbol is 4-3. Again, it's just memorization. So, lowercase 3, 4-3. Okay, let's look at the 5 chord and the 7 chord in minor. Okay, when we're looking at the minor version, either triad or 7th chord, I've done only 7th chords, but it's the same exactly for the triads. So we're looking at the 5 chord and the 7 chord in minor. Then you have to use the harmonic version of whatever minor key you're using. So in this case, that's a lowercase c right there. So we're using C minor. The key signature for C minor has B flat, E flat, and A flat. C natural minor has B flat, E flat, and A flat. So I should have a B flat, you would think. So this B would be a B flat. If I have that, then I have a minor 5 chord. So it'd be a lowercase 5, 7. That's not common. You're supposed to have a dominant 7th chord if you looked at the chart and remembered it, right? So we have to raise the 7th scale degree of C to make it a B natural. So here's the key, or the scale for C. C, D, E, flat, F, G, oops, that's an A. Let me get my eraser. F, G, A flat, B flat. Right? That's the natural minor version of C. I have to raise the 7th scale degree on the 5 chord and the 7 chord. Doesn't matter if it's a 7th chord or a triad. Okay, either one, the triad or the 7th chord for the 5 or the 7. I have to raise the 7th scale degree. Not the seventh of the chord, but the seventh scale degree. Be really careful because it moves around, right? The seventh scale degree of the 7 chord is actually the root. The seventh scale degree of the 5 chord is the third of the chord. But you don't have to remember that. If you can just remember that you raise the seventh scale degree, you have got it. So I did that right here. This natural is a B flat raised, right? So I'm using the B natural. And that does create what our chart wants us to create. It's a 5 dominant 7. You don't need to put dominant. You don't have to put big M, little m. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. If this were a, a 4, it's not. But if it were a 4 major 7th chord, you couldn't put 4, 7, because that means dominant 7. You have to write 4 big M 7. That's a 4 major 7, but that's a different topic. So if this were a minor 7th chord, I'm sorry, a minor key with the 7th chord, like this one over here, then you would have to raise the 7th scale degree and it would still work out the same. Okay? So that's the easiest way to do diatonic 7th chords. Now, you can quit watching now if you want. I'm going to show you the way of, oh man, I can't remember that chart with all those, what is it, 7 times 4, 28 different things. So here's my other method for this. Okay? Okay, I can't remember those 28 things, so here is my method for going back and like, oh, how do I figure out what chord this is and stuff? If I can't remember if it's major or minor or dominant or diminished or what. Okay, so the same process though. You've got to put them in snowman position first. So this one's already in snowman position because they're stacked by thirds. I know that this note is C sharp. So I've got to write down the scale again. Can't get my pen to work. That's supposed to be a C. Okay, so the key of B minor is the key I'm in. So B, C. Okay, so it's going to be a 2 chord. This is the first scale degree. That's the second scale degree. I know that whatever I write here is going to be a 2 chord. And I know it's a 7th chord because there's 4 notes. So it's a 2, 7. I know that's not how you write it, but you get the gist. Now I'm going to figure out what type of 7th or what type of 2 chord this is. Okay, so I know the key signature. If you know your key signatures, this way works. If you don't know your key signatures, press stop. You don't need to watch the rest of this. Alright, so I don't know the key signature for C sharp major. It's just way too complicated. So I do know the key signature for C major. C major is C, E, G, B. That is a major 7th chord. Okay, my bottom notes don't match. I'm trying to get to C sharp. Oh boy. E. Oh boy. G. Oh, it's not going to fit. B. Okay, so I'm trying to get to that. C sharp, E, G, B. Okay, so I'm going to change. I'm going to erase a smidge here. See if I can fit more. Mad skills. Mad skills. Okay. So I'm going to try, I'm going to make this thing, the bottom note has to match. I can't talk. The bottom note has to match this bottom note over here. So if I do that in algebra, if I do one thing to one side, I have to do it to the rest of the sides, or the other side too. So I change the bottom note to C sharp. That means I have to do the same exact thing to everything else. If I raise the bottom note a half step, I have to do the same thing to the rest of the notes. So previously C, E, G, B was major, so now this is major too. So now my bottom notes match. That's good. Now I'm on the right track. But the top 3 notes don't match. So if you've watched the other YouTube thing, then you know that my bottom note's going to stay the same if I'm going through my chart here. My middle note's going to stay the same. My middle note, the third of the note, the third of the chord. The 5th of the chord is going to stay the same. And the top note is going to go down a half step. This makes major minor, or dominant. Okay, I'm running out of space. I'm trying to get to this. I'm going to erase that. Okay, so I'm trying to get to this over here on the left side. So far, it got better. My B now matches this B over here. My C sharp matches this C sharp over here, which I'm getting close. You can tell I have 2 more steps to go. You can probably figure it out from there. So I'm going to go over again. C sharp stays on the bottom. Nothing changed. The 7th didn't change this time. I already changed it once. The 5th doesn't change. Stays G sharp. That's a G. The 3rd does change. It goes down a half step. Down a half step from E sharp is E natural. Yay! Now the E's match. I'm one step away. Oh, what is this though? This is now a minor 7th chord. I'm going to erase my this. Okay, I'm close. I'm waiting on the G to get lined up. He's still out of order. Everything is going to stay the same except for the G, and it's going to go down a half step. So C sharp stays, E stays, G goes down a half step to G. This is the order you have to do these things in. And the B stays still. Oop, that's a B. Ooh, it's an ugly B. Okay, if I go down, if I drop that G sharp, I went from minor to, drum roll please, half diminished. So, do they match? The C sharp matches, the E matches, now the G matches, and the B matched, and it still does. So, I know it's a 2 chord, I know it's a 7th chord, it's got 4 notes, and now I know that it's half diminished. When I put 2 in Roman numerals, I write 2 little i's. It's half diminished, so I put a circle with a slash through it, and if you remember, it was in snowman position already, so I just put a 7 because that's the snowman position. It's root position, 7th chord. Okay, let's do another. Okay, here's another example. What's the first step? You have to put it in snowman position. Let me do that first. This is just to help me out. C, E, G, and I can tell those 3 are lined up. I just need to put my B flat on top. Cows eat grass, babies. Alright, that's the way we roll. Okay, so I have to figure out which Roman numeral I'm going to put here first. In the key of F, I guess this is second. F, G, A, B. I'm stopping at C because I want to know which scale degree C is in the key of F. Let me say that one more time. I want to know which scale degree C is in the key of F. 1, 2, 3, 4, work pin 5. Okay, so I know I'm going to write a 5 chord here. And again, it's a 7th chord, so I have to make sure I put a 7 out there. Let me figure out which type of 5 chord this is if you don't have it memorized. Okay, here we go. I know the key signature for C. Same as last time almost. C, E, G, B. In the key of C major, I have no sharps or flats. If you see no sharps, you see no flats, you're in the key of C major. I'm using the key signature of the bottom note of the chord. Ignore the key of F. We don't care about that right now. We already know that it's the 5th chord in the key of F. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with the chord right now. Ignore the stuff on the left. So, C, E, G, B. That is a major 7th chord. I'm trying to get to this over here. I'm trying to get to I want my B to be flatted and everything else to be natural. Okay? So going through my chart, I'm going to move my C over. I'm going to move my E over. I'm going to move my G over. And I'm going to move my B down to B flat. Now I have a major minor 7th or dominant 7th. Does this match this? Yes, it does. So we're done. We stop right there. I know that I'm going to have a 5 major minor 7th chord. So I'm going to write my Roman numeral correctly right quick here. So it's going to be a big 5 because it's dominant. And you can put a big M, little m if you want. You can leave that off if you want because I can't get my pen to work. Because you don't need it. You just don't. It's just when you notate it, you don't have to have that. So I'm trying to make a big M, little m. And it's a 5, big M, little m, 7, or dominant 7th, or just 5/7. Okay? That is really close to right. So now I have to change my inversion symbol. In this case, C is the C is the, where's my marker? Is the root of the chord, E is the third of the chord, G is the fifth of the chord, and B is the seventh of the chord. What note is in the bass? I know you're thinking, well, this is supposed to be a bass clef, even though it's ugly, so they're all in the bass. Nope, they're not all in the bass. The lowest note is the bass. Even if you're playing a piccolo quartet, which might be kind of ugly, no offense, don't email me. The lowest note is the bass, according to what I'm doing right here, okay? So what's the lowest note? B flat. B flat is the seventh of the chord. Not the seventh scale degree, it's the seventh of the chord. So when the seventh of the chord is in the bass, your inversion symbol is 4-2. Alright. The only other tricky thing is when you have the 5 chord and the 7 chord. Let me just show you one of those. I'll just do a triad right quick here. Okay, so let's make, oh, I meant to put 5 here. Let's make a 5 chord in the key of F minor. 5 chord in the key of F minor. So I could say over here, F, we have to figure out what notes that is, right? F, G, A, B, C. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth scale degree of F minor is C. So I'm going to make a triad. So I'm going to make it C, E, G. Now, in the key of F minor, I have these flats. B, E, A, and D. B, E, A, and D. If you don't know that, you just need to go back and memorize your key signatures. Okay, so let me write those up here. B, do I have any B's? Nope. Do I have any E's? Yes, I do. I have an E flat, okay? Do I have any A's? Nope. Do I have any D's? Nope. Okay, so these are the notes that we should have, it would seem, if we're in the key of F minor and I'm making a 5 chord. If we went back to our chart, we could have C, E, G as major, triad. If I want to figure out what C, E flat, G is, if you remember the chart from the previous video, I have to lower the E flat, and that makes it a minor triad. But we know, because we're so smart, that we know that the 5 chord can never be minor. It needs to be major or dominant. In this case, we have a triad, so it has to be major. If it's a 7th chord, it's dominant. It's not major. Okay, so I don't want an E natural. Well, that just messes everything up, right? So here's my scale over here, 6, 7. We already said I have a B, E, A, and D. B, E, A, and D. Those are all flatted. There's the F minor, or natural minor scale. F natural minor scale. Now, we have to use the harmonic minor scale when we're dealing with the 5 chord or the 7 chord. Okay? Even if it's a 7th chord or if it's a triad, doesn't matter. So the 5 and the 7 chord, you have to use the harmonic minor version of the natural minor scale. Okay, so not the natural minor, but the harmonic minor. So that means you raise the 7th scale degree. The 7th scale degree of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is E flat. I'm going to raise the E flat to E natural. I'll try to erase, but I'll probably erase too much. Nope, I didn't good. Ooh, yay. I would put the accidental on there. Yes, the natural sign is an accidental, so you have to put that on there. So that is the scale we want to use, not this key signature. We want to use an E natural. Alright, so let me see if I can erase. Sort of. I use E natural. So that is the 5 chord in the key of F minor. The 5 and the 7 chord are the only two, the 5 and the 7 are the only two we deal with changing to harmonic minor. So on the 3 chord, yeah, I understand that there's the 7th scale degree is in the 3 chord, but you wouldn't want an augmented 3 chord as a triad or a 7th chord, whatever that would be. I guess it's augmented. And if you have a 7th chord and you're using the 1 chord, so like this, if I'm using a 1 chord in the key of, we'll stay with F major. I wouldn't use F, I meant to say F minor, sorry, let me switch that to, that's beautiful, F minor. F, A, C, E. We wouldn't make it, remember our key signature was B, E, A, and D for F minor. We wouldn't make it an E natural here, because that'd be some weird chord that I don't even know what that is. With a major seventh and a minor triad, so I guess it's minor major seventh. We wouldn't do that. That's also very irregular. So the only chords you alter are the 5 and the 7. So if it's a triad, it's going to turn out to that. If it's a 7th chord, you're going to make it a dominant 7th or a fully diminished 7th. Okay, so only those two. Good luck.